Anxious attachment often begins with closeness feeling uncertain. Connection may feel precious, but also easily threatened. A delayed reply can feel like rejection, not just a delay. A quiet evening can feel like emotional distance, even when nothing serious has happened. The nervous system starts searching for reassurance before the facts are clear. The first useful step is to separate what is happening today from the old fear of being left. The first thing to check is reassurance becomes urgent. A healthier response names the feeling without turning it into blame. Think of 3 unanswered messages can trigger panic. The behavior tries to calm fear. The facts matter more than the term. Ask whether the trigger is present evidence or old abandonment fear. Early inconsistency can contribute. Unpredictable emotional availability can teach a child to monitor connection. Concrete case. Care sometimes warm and sometimes distant creates alertness. Roots are possible, not a diagnosis. A healthier response names the feeling without turning it into blame. New relationships often contain ambiguity, and anxious attachment can turn ambiguity into alarm. After a good date, one day of silence may feel like proof that something changed. The person may check the phone repeatedly, reread messages, or send another text just to reduce the discomfort. The real trigger is not always the silence itself. It is the meaning the nervous system gives to the silence. Maybe I am being forgotten, replaced, or quietly rejected. People may text repeatedly, withdraw, test, or accuse to get a reaction can decide whether the situation stays manageable or becomes expensive. Indirect strategies can backfire. The issue becomes concrete when saying €1 often €1 when they are not fine tries to see if the partner chases. A steady partner can soothe, while inconsistency can intensify fear. Concrete case. Warm communication after conflict reduces spiraling. Relationship patterns are co-created. Panic after a delayed reply turning into repeated messages. The real engine is this. Anxious attachment makes uncertainty in closeness feel threatening, so reassurance can become urgent. Need is not weakness. Wanting closeness is human. Panic-driven pursuit is the problem. Common case. Asking for a check-in is healthier than demanding constant proof. Needs can be expressed cleanly. The process starts here. Anxious attachment makes uncertainty in closeness feel threatening, so reassurance can become urgent. The everyday problem is mind reading causes pain. Anxious attachment fills gaps with worst-case stories. Concrete case. A partner tired from work becomes a story about losing interest. Facts should be separated from fear. The chain is easy to miss. Anxious attachment makes uncertainty in closeness feel threatening, so reassurance can become urgent. Body signs often arrive before clear thoughts. A tight chest, stomach drop, restless checking, or sudden urge to send another message can appear before the person has calmly assessed the situation. Naming the sequence helps. This is the trigger, this is the feeling, and this is the action I usually take. That small pause does not erase the fear, but it creates enough space to ask whether the evidence actually matches the alarm. Predictable communication reduces guessing. Think of a couple agrees to call after work instead of texting all day. Structure can create safety. The name helps only after checking. Separate real distance from imagined rejection. The pressure is visible when a couple agrees to call after work instead of texting all day. Self-soothing is not self-abandonment. Calming yourself does not mean pretending needs do not matter. Think of breathing, walking, and waiting before texting can protect the conversation. Evidence should lead the decision. Separate today €s facts from the fear of being left. The specific clue is panic after a delayed reply turning into repeated messages, which points back to fear of abandonment, reassurance seeking, protest behavior, and self-soothing. Anxious people may overgive to secure closeness. Saying yes to everything can create resentment because care turns into self-abandonment. Secure love includes self-respect. Use the label carefully. Ask whether the trigger comes from present evidence or from an older fear of being left. Then ground the next step in what actually happened today, such as the delayed reply, the tone of the conversation, or a real pattern of inconsistency. Consistent people are easier for anxious systems than hot and cold partners. Real case. Chemistry with chaos can feel addictive. Stability should be attractive. The clearest sign is chemistry with chaos can feel addictive. The pattern is easier to name when read when reassurance seeking is treated as evidence, not background noise. Apologies, explanations, and follow-through teach the body connection can survive conflict. Example. A partner returns after space and talks honestly. Repair matters more than perfection. Separating trigger from conclusion before reacting rather than vague advice. Clarity before the peak creates better options. The easiest mistake is to ignore body alarm because it looks minor until self-soothing makes the cost visible. A pattern becomes easier to change once the trigger, feeling, and response are mapped separately. Patterns can soften through awareness, skills, and corrective experiences. Common case. Journaling triggers reveals repeated fears. The clearest check is factual. Ask whether the trigger is present evidence or old abandonment fear. The final point is this. Anxious attachment becomes easier to manage when reassurance is paired with self-soothing and clear communication. What looks like a personal flaw may simply be protest behavior interacting with reassurance seeking. Notice this. The request is direct without attacking matters because it changes what happens next. Language changes the outcome. Anxious attachment can make uncertainty feel like proof of rejection even when the facts are incomplete. The small detail to notice is clear plans, especially when protest behavior is happening at the same time. Watch for real red flags sets up the whole situation. Not every fear is attachment. Some partners are actually unreliable. Example. Consistent lying or disrespect deserves attention. Self-awareness should not excuse bad treatment. A familiar case is consistent lying or disrespect deserves attention. The fear can feel urgent even when the facts are still incomplete. When self-soothing changes, people often adjust around it before they fully understand why they feel pressure. Anxious attachment is not simply caring too much. It is a nervous system trying to protect connection by scanning for distance, delay, or rejection. Healing starts when reassurance is paired with self-soothing, clearer communication, and relationships where consistency is not treated as a luxury. The pattern can lead to repeated texting, scanning tone, asking for reassurance, or fearing abandonment after small changes. A delayed reply can feel like danger even when the relationship is not actually ending. Anxious attachment can turn a delayed reply, quiet tone, or changed plan into a fear that the connection is slipping away. The reaction may be protest, repeated checking, over-explaining, or hiding hurt to see whether the other person notices. An early response works better when it is aimed at delayed replies rather than a vague feeling that something is wrong. Anxious attachment is not simply caring too much. It is a nervous system pattern that treats unclear connection as possible abandonment. A familiar case is separating real distance from imagined rejection protects the conversation. Anxious attachment turns uncertainty into alarm. Slowing the reaction gives the relationship a chance to respond to reality instead of panic. A calmer response begins by separating the body alarm from the actual evidence in the relationship. Healing begins when reassurance is no longer the only way to feel safe. Clear communication helps, but so does building the ability to calm the body before demanding certainty from the relationship. A healthier pattern is not pretending distance never hurts. It is learning to ask directly, listen to evidence, tolerate small gaps, and choose partners whose consistency makes safety easier to practice over time.